Well, hey guys, my name is Matt. What's your name? Nice to meet you. Hey, so glad you guys are hanging out with us tonight. Hey, I saw that wave. That was so nice. Katie, can you see me? You're so far in the corner over there. I guess if I can see you, you can see me. Yeah, yes, you, Katie. I can see you. Hey, guys, this is really, really cool that you're here. We have been in this space kind of in a soft opening for just a couple months now. We moved in November, and we didn't get to celebrate this space. Obviously we walked through some stuff as a community, and so we just were going to postpone when we originally planned this. And I just want you to know this church is still praying for you. If you're still processing what happened at Saugus, we're here for you. We want to be able to meet with you and be able to pray with you. We want to be able to let you know that we as your community and we as your church are standing with you. And so, man, we didn't have that plan, but we found this date, we moved the date, and we're here. And guys, I'm telling you, I picked this video when we found this because I was like, this is perfect because it's the perfect word to describe what I feel tonight. Gratitude. I'm just thankful. I'm just so thankful. And so on behalf of the YX team and me, just thank you so much for being a part of this YX thing, this youth experience. And guys, this building, this is something they told me about when they were talking to me about the job. Before we even moved here 2.5 years ago, I just resonated with this church because this church was putting their money where their mouth is, literally, where they were giving and they were trying to make this a reality, to make this a space for you. And so if you're like, man, I don't know if anybody loves me, I don't know if anybody is there for me, you're in a space that represents love. It represents a place that we're saying we believe so much in our students. We believe in so much in the next generation that we built a building for you to have a place to belong. So welcome home, right? Welcome home, yeah. Oh. It's funny when we think about gratitude because, gratitude isn't something we talk about, at the lunch table at school. Hey, tell me what you're grateful for. That stuff is just reserved for Thanksgiving. We have once a year where we actually ask each other what we're thankful for. Does your family at Thanksgiving do the go around the circle and say what you're thankful for? Nope, we just eat. My family does this. And here's something you need to know about me. I am a preparer at heart. And so I prepare my list of what I'm thankful for, and then I make it look like I'm coming up with it on the spot. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, let me think about it. And then I name off 12 things. Because I don't want to be that one person. I always have that one cousin who just, it looks like they didn't know the question was coming. And so, we go around the table, what are you thankful for? And it gets to, my cousin, and he's just my family, And he's done. That's all he says. True story, I had an aunt one time. I guess he had done it too long. It had been too many Thanksgivings where he just said my family and wanted to move on. And so in front of the whole family, she's just like, that's it? That's all you're thankful for? She stopped the thankful circle and starts calling out my cousin on the carpet. She's like, what about that car that your parents just bought you? Huh? Are you not thankful for that? What about... Oh shoot! I love it. What about your health? And she goes, what about your girlfriend that's sitting right beside you? You're not thankful for, and so you don't want to be around Aunt Holly at Thanksgiving and only say, my family. Here's my question: why does it take Thanksgiving or even opening a student building for us to show gratitude? Why is it something? It's got to be a big deal. It's got to be something huge for us to go, man, I'm really thankful. This is really cool. I think it's because we don't think about it on a regular basis. I don't think we go around thinking about what we're thankful for. If you were to hit me randomly, Matt, what's those 12 things you're thankful for? On a random Tuesday, I don't have my list memorized. I'm going to do the same thing my cousin did. I'm going to be struggling going, my family, don't call me Aunt Holly. I'm going to be struggling because I just don't think about it. I don't think it's part of our every day that we go around going, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for you, I'm thankful for you. It's just not what we do. It's just not part of who we are. And so I think this whole gratitude thing, I think it's a lost art. I think it's something that we, as a culture, we've just gotten really bad at, because the truth is, what we once were super thankful for, after a few weeks or a few months, maybe we're not as thankful for it. We don't think about it anymore. What was once the one thing, the one present you wanted, the one relationship you wanted to work out, those things, once they've worked out, once you've gotten that present, whatever that is, man, it's you move on, and what was once an expectation or something you look forward to is just your new reality. It's just the new thing. And so I found this is a quote from Alexander McCall Smith. Here's what he says about the lost art of gratitude. He says, people accepted things, took them as their right, and had forgotten how to give proper thanks. He's describing really how we all get as human beings at times. This lack of gratitude is a problem that we all face. Mom, I hope you're not watching the video back, but I haven't admitted this to anybody besides my wife. But when we flew home for Christmas, and my older brother is opening like his gift from mom and dad, and as he opens his gift, I go, that looks kind of expensive. Ooh, okay, I wonder what I'm getting. And so I literally pulled my phone out and Googled what my brother got from my parents because I wanted to know the price range of what they were spending on the kids. Isn't that awful? Like, here's a grown man in his 30s. His daughter's over there opening presents, and he's Googling so he can base like the price range of what his brother got, and he's trying to figure out what he's getting. Like, that's awful to admit, but that's where I was. This lack of gratitude, giving the proper thanks, it comes for us all. This is all something that we deal with. Thanks to the iPhone, you can actually associate a number with your lack of gratitude. You can just take the iPhone 11 and subtract by your current version of the iPhone, and you can come up with a number system of how ungrateful you are for your phone. A 5, you're a 5, that's pretty high. And if you're a Samsung, I can't even chart that how ungrateful you are for your phone. Like, you're just on a whole other planet because you can't be grateful for your phone. That didn't mean to be that wasn't throwing shade, you know, it's just the truth of it. Here's the truth. For many of us, we look at our lives and like when somebody brings up the subject of thankfulness or gratitude, we start thinking about it for the first time, but then some of us really, really struggle to come up with an answer. Some of us really, really struggle to like think through, what do I have to be grateful for? And so maybe you wouldn't even admit this because you feel like, oh man, like there should be something. My family, that's my answer. But here's the truth, and I'll say it for us. This is the question that pops in our head sometimes as we look at our lives and talk about gratitude. What do I have to be grateful for? What do I have to be grateful for? I look around, and I look at my life, and I look at my circumstances, and I look at the people around me, and I don't know if gratitude would be the way I would describe the people that are in my life. I don't know if that would be how I describe the things that I have or the status that I want, or anything that I want. I think I'd be grateful if I had this. I think if I got to this level, then maybe I could be grateful. Maybe it's you looking around at what other people have. Maybe it's you trying to figure out, okay, how do I measure up when it comes to the people at my school? And so we look at this and we have this question, what do I have to be grateful for? And sometimes we just draw blanks. And here's the truth. It's hard to be grateful for something that you feel like hasn't done much for you lately. And it's also hard to be grateful for someone when all you've done is focus on the negative of that relationship. If you've been mad at a parent, if you've been mad at a friend, if you've had beef with somebody that you haven't resolved, it's really tough to see past that and go, I'm really grateful for the friendship. And so even if it's like 99% good when it comes to that relationship, that 1% of bad, it's so easy as human beings to look at that 1% and throw out any kind of gratitude. Because that 1% is so distracting of, I really didn't like how they handled this. I really didn't like it when they said this. And so this gratitude thing, it's almost like just a little bit will make the whole thing go away. You know this, relationships are complicated. People are complicated. There is no such thing as an all good and all the time perfect relationship. There's no such thing as an all bad and all the time bad relationship. People are messy. And when we have people in our lives, we have all kinds of ranges of emotions about them, especially the people that live with us, because we see each other at our best and we see each other at our worst. Where you might be even like be putting like on a little bit of like, okay, I got to present the best version of myself. When you walk through the doors of your home, you don't do that anymore because those people know you and all bets are off. And so we really get to see the best and worst of each other. And it makes it really tough when we think about gratitude because we think it's got to be all or nothing. We think we just got to have this unbelievably amazing and there's nothing, there's no problems, there's nothing behind it. But here's the truth. Anytime you put people around each other, there's going to be issues. Anytime you have a family, a friend group, a club, a team, one day when you go off to college, a dorm room, there's no such thing as a perfect, everybody always gets along, everything is good, because here's the formula that's true. People plus proximity always equals problems. Anytime you put people in close proximity, that 1 or 2% that you have that really drives you crazy is going to come out. That 1 or 2% that you're like, man, I really just can't stand it. I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. It's going to come out because people plus proximities always equals problems. And so you can hear like, hey, I should be grateful. And you look at this formula and you go, you know what? Gratitude doesn't work. I'm looking at the formula and it doesn't add up because I'm looking at the people in my proximity and I'm going, I don't know what to be thankful for. We're not the only ones that have experienced this. There was a guy named Peter who walked with Jesus, and so he's hearing all this crazy, radical, brand new teaching, this new life that Jesus is talking about. And Peter keeps hearing about this topic of forgiveness. He keeps hearing Jesus say things like, hey, if somebody slaps you on the cheek, turn the other cheek. And Peter's like, I don't know, I'm a fisherman. Like, I don't think I can do that. Like, I grew up tough. And so Peter's hearing all this stuff that Jesus has to say, and even though we don't ever say it, like, how do I, like, what, like, is there anything for me to be grateful for? Peter's like one of those people that just says what he's thinking. And so he really helps us out because he finally addresses Jesus of going, dude, I'm hearing what you're saying about forgiveness, but the formula doesn't add up. When I look at the people in my proximity, I don't know if I can forgive. And so Peter's talking about forgiveness, but I want you to look through the lens of gratitude because I think there's a big lesson about gratitude in the story. Here's what he says in Matthew 18. Then Peter came to him, this is Jesus, and asked, Lord, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? Like, I get it. I heard you. I should forgive him, but you don't live with my brother. You don't know what I'm up against. And so he says 7 times. And I think Peter is going, dude, he's obviously, this forgiveness thing's a big deal. I get it. 7 times seems generous. You don't know my brother. 7 times is very, very generous. You know, it's like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, okay. Fool me 3 times for Jesus. Fool me 4 times, okay, now I'm just getting ticked off. You know, like he's saying 7 times is pretty good, but Jesus basically breaks his math in the next verse. Here's what he says back to Peter. He says, no, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. He's like, yeah, 7 times is impressive. You know what's even more impressive, Peter? 490 times. And I think you see the point here. I think what you're trying to, if we look at this, Jesus isn't talking about keeping score. He isn't talking about a number. He isn't talking about, okay, I'm going to forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. I think he's getting to something bigger. And so just to kind of bring his point home, he shares a parable with Peter next. And so if you don't know what a parable is, it's like this, Jesus used them all the time. It's like a short fictional story. And so Jesus is about to like illustrate his point to Peter through a parable. Here's what he says in verse 23. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven can be compared to a king who decided to bring his accounts up to date with servants who had borrowed money from him. In the process, one of his debtors was brought in who owed him millions of dollars. He owed him millions of dollars. He couldn't pay, obviously, he couldn't pay that back to the king, so his master ordered that he be sold along with his wife, his children, and everything he owned to pay the debt. He owes the king, this is a fictional story, so Jesus is making this up. It's not a real scenario, but Jesus is saying, imagine if there's a king, and this guy owes him millions of dollars. And because he owes him and he can never pay him back, he's about to lose everything. His freedom, his family, everything he owns is about to go away because he can't pay this debt. Verse 26, it says, but the man fell down before his master and begged him, please be patient with me. I will pay it all. Now I'm looking at millions of dollars and I'm going, there's no way he's ever going to pay it all. He's pleading with him, and the king knows this too. It says, then his master was filled with pity for him, and he released him and forgave his debt. In one moment, this guy went from losing it all, a debt that I'm never going to be able to pay back, and the king just goes, I'm going to forgive you, and not only am I going to give you your freedom back, I'm just going to wipe the millions of dollars out of the ledger. Could you imagine getting that freedom back in that moment of a debt you would never pay back, a debt you wouldn't be able to pay back, and the king just says, it's done, it's over. So happy story. Peter's like, cool, that sounds great, Jesus. But with parables, there's always a plot twist. Watch the plot twist here, because he's about to really set Peter up to learn a lesson. It says in verse 28, but when the man left the king, he went from losing everything to now being set free. When the man left the king, he went to a fellow servant who owed him a few $1,000s. Now that's nothing to, like that's a lot of money still. He grabbed him by the throat and demanded instant payment. Do you see the problem here? He just got forgiven and set free from millions of dollars, and his first move is to go choke out the guy who owes him a couple $1,000s. That's his first move. He's like, you know what? I'm on a roll. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a good day. It's coming up all me. And so I'm just going to get my money back from that guy. And so instead of him being grateful or thankful for what's been done for him, he can't turn it to gratitude. And so he's saying, I just got to go and do something about this guy who owes me money because I can't get past, even though I got forgiven of millions of dollars, I can't get past this thousands of dollars. I'm going to get my money back. Anybody got Venmo? Venmo is a great thing because you don't do as much like figuring out checks when you go out with friends, you know? And like the poor server's like, okay, I guess I'll go split the checks. And if you ever worked in the restaurant industry, that's like somebody's like drowning and you're like, hey, here's more water. Like when you ask them to go and split your checks, you know, it's that's a lot on them. And so this Venmo thing, it's like somebody just pays the check and everybody Venmos that person. So Venmo is this awesome thing. You can Venmo me. I'll put the, no, I'm just kidding. Don't Venmo. And so a couple weeks ago, when Star Wars came out, you know, like now you do the whole thing where you get seats together. And so I bought tickets for me and my buddies to go, and they all Venmoed me back so that we could all sit together. And so we all bought the ticket. I bought the tickets, and then we did that. And so everybody paid me back except one buddy. And I want to call him out because I don't want to embarrass him in front of hundreds of people, but Jade's son didn't pay me back for the Star Wars tickets. You know, we're going to go on a Friday. You know, Target's payday's not till next week. I get it, but he didn't pay me back right away. Now, if I imagine myself in this parable, if I'm thinking about my story, like I don't owe anybody millions of dollars, but I definitely owe somebody thousands of dollars. You know who I owe thousands of dollars to? The people who put me through college. I owe money to Nelnet and to Sally Mae. Like that's the people that I owe money to, and I owe them thousands of dollars, and it's my debt, and I've been paying it off for a decade now. It's been a long road. And so I can't imagine when I hear this story, this is not going to happen, but what if? What if the queen of Sally Mae, what if the king of Nelnet rolled into town on their horse and just decreed, behold, Matt Ditton's debt is forgiven. Set this man free. You know what I mean? Like, if they let me out of my debt, do you think I'm worried about whether or not Jade's son paid me back for Star Wars? Dude, I'm buying his next ticket, and we're going to go see Black Widow, and I'm buying the popcorn. I'd be so happy if I got cleared from my school debt that I'm taking everybody after this to Sam's Club, and you're getting a Coke and a slice on me. Maybe even an icy. I don't even know. But I would be head over heels excited. I'd be so excited because something big happened in my life, and so I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. If you owe me a little bit of stuff, I'm not choking you out for it. I might choke you out for other stuff, but I'm not choking you out for the money you owe me. And so, wow, man, the reactions up here. And so, guys, here's my point. Here's what I think Jesus is trying to tell us, and he's trying to tell Peter. Something big has happened that should change how I deal with all the small things. Something big has happened in my life that should change how I deal with all the small things. So when I think about that one big thing, when I think about this huge thing that's happened for me, how can I not be grateful? In other words, what is it like to be forgiven and set free? Hopefully it means I understand that I should be thankful that I just even get to live, that I have what I have. Because if I have this big thing that's happened for me, man, I am well aware of all the things I'm thankful for, all the small stuff. Here's the truth in this parable about our story. We owed the king a debt we couldn't pay. He forgave that debt. He set us free. And so this is what we as Christians call the good news. Yes, we were created by God, but then we sinned and caused an immeasurable debt between us and God. Here's a holy and perfect God. We have this sin thing, and we're never going to be able to repay it back. Our sin is just, it separates us. We can't be in a holy and perfect God's presence, but then what does he do? He sends his one and only son to die in our place so that we could be forgiven of that immeasurable debt by immeasurable grace. And so what does that mean for me? I'm forgiven of my sin when I put my hope in Jesus, and I'm set free. Something big has happened in my life that changes all the small things. And so when I look at that at my life, when I look at the millions of dollars that I owe that I'd never be able to pay back, man, I shouldn't sweat the small stuff with the people in my proximity. I should look past the 1% and look for the 99% that I can go, I'm really thankful for them because of this reason. I'm really grateful for them. Yeah, it's not all good, but it is all good with Jesus. Yeah, it's not all perfect, but there was already a perfect one who died for me. And so when I look at Jesus, when I look at my life, man, the best word to describe how I should live would be grateful. I'm grateful because something big has happened that's changed all the small things. A few years after this parable, as the early church is kicking off and they're trying to figure it out, people are coming to this new life in Jesus. They're really trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean? I put my hope in Jesus. What should my life look like now? And so Paul writes this book called Colossians, and he's really just talking and describing the new life. And so look at what he tells us about this new life that we have in Jesus in Colossians 3. It says, since you've been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. He's saying, hey, there's a new place to look. You got to look at the world differently now because of Jesus. You got to look and set your sights on a reality that's beyond what you're living right now. You got to set your sight on the reality of heaven, on the reality that you're forgiven, on the reality of this immeasurable debt that you owed has been replaced by immeasurable grace. He's saying, set your sights there. So what he's basically saying is part of this new life in Jesus means recognition. I see differently. I look at things differently. It's funny, I was looking up antonyms to gratitude, and there's some like stuff that I expected to see, but there was one antonym, like one opposite meaning of gratitude that kind of caught me off guard. Maybe it'll catch you off guard too, but thanklessness, ungratefulness, ingratitude, and unthankfulness, these all are pretty, that's what we expect. It seems like you're just scrambling the same letters, un and less, and in, and you got some definitions of it. But check this last definition, this last opposite definition of gratitude. It's non-recognition. It's when you don't recognize the things that you should be grateful for. See, the opposite of gratitude could just simply be the fact that I just fail to recognize the people and the things in my life. See, I think about this because sometimes when we think about gratitude, we think of people that are super bubbly or super positive, and they're always optimists. And I don't think that you have to be like that. I don't think it has to be a personality thing. I think the biggest pessimist and the biggest realist in the room can still recognize the things in their life. I don't think it's about just having a better attitude. I think it's about having the right sight, about looking through the right lens, about looking at one big thing in my life, this immeasurable grace, and going, how could I not change how I recognize the world around me? I got to set my sights differently. Here's what gratitude can look like when we set our sights on Jesus. Gratitude looks at grace and practices thanks. That's what gratitude can look like in our lives. We set our sights on what God's done for us. We've been set free. This immeasurable debt has been replaced by immeasurable grace. And now we just get into the habit. We don't wait till Thanksgiving and then lie and say, my family. We get into the habit of practicing gratitude, of recognizing things, of seeing things and not being afraid to say things, of going, hey, dude, I saw that. That was really cool. Hey, dude, thank you for picking me up. Hey, dude, thank you so much. That meant a lot to me. Hey, I saw what you did the other day. I think that's really cool. I've been trying to practice this, and what I've learned is people haven't told me to stop thanking them. Like, we put a cap on it, you know what I mean? Like, no, I shouldn't say anything. Like, maybe they know I'm thankful for them. You know what I found out? People like being recognized. People like being seen. People like knowing that other people are paying attention to the good they're doing. And so when we recognize it and show gratitude and show thanks, you know what it does for somebody? Exactly what you think it'd do for you. It just encourages you. It just makes you go, man, there's people around me that care about me. And so it does something for them. And so my challenge to you is just practice saying thank you. Look at the people around you and just find somebody once a day to give a genuine and sincere, I appreciate you. And watch what it does for them, but also watch what it does for you. I want to show you what it's going to do for you if you'll do this. Here's what he goes on to say in Colossians 3. And I want you to pay attention and count how many times it says peace and thanks as he's talking about this new life, because there's a connection here. He says, let the peace that comes from Christ rule in your hearts. For as members of one body, You are called to live in peace and always be thankful. Let the message about Christ in all its richness fill your lives. Teach and counsel each other with all the wisdom he gives. Go on to the next one. Sing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs to God with thankful hearts, and whatever you do or say, do it as a representative of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks through him to God the Father. Here's what the writer of Colossians is saying to us. If you will practice thanks, what you'll experience in your life is peace. Things will settle. Things will be right because you have the right perspective, and the peace of God will be able to enter because you're just going, no, I'm recognizing the big thing, and I'm practicing the small things. There's a connection between practicing thanks and peace. Yeah, it encourages my friend, but what it does for me is it just puts me at ease. As I get in this habit, you know what happens? Is I stop focusing on the 1%. I stop focusing on all the negative stuff. And so instead of me being full of worry or anxiety or cares of going, man, I can't be thankful because this is off, if I'll practice gratitude, what will happen is peace. Be thankful. Show your appreciation. Genuinely look for it and recognize it, because what it's doing is as you practice it, it's creating something in you. Yeah, the formula is still true that people plus proximity equals problems, but this formula is also true. Grace plus thanks equals peace. If you want to combat your people and proximity problems, don't do it with returning an eye for an eye. Don't do it with just being as mean as they were back. Don't do it with being just as dishonoring as they were to you. If you want to return and change the formula up for people and proximity problems, grace plus thanks equals peace. I'm looking at my life and going, I am so thankful that despite my millions of dollars debt, God looked at me and said, I love you and I want you. So I'm going to look at you for that little thing and go, I still love you and I still am thankful for you. I still want you in my life. I still appreciate you. It's a perspective change. It's recognizing the right things. Because when it comes to gratitude, yeah, practice might make perfect, but you know what? When it comes to gratitude, practice makes peace. Try it this week. Give sincere compliments. You know what would happen if your parents were convinced after a few times, hey, they're not buttering me up to ask me something. Like if you just thank them, how many times would you have to thank them for them to go, oh, okay, they're not just trying to borrow the car. Oh, okay, they're not just trying to go and spend the night with their friends. It might take a while for all of us to unwork the non-recognition in our lives. But if we'll do this, the people around us will be encouraged, and what will come into our hearts is peace. Let's pray. God, thank you so much that a big thing has happened. And we're going to set our sights on that. It's not about being optimistic or happy. It's about the reality of the millions of dollars that we'll never pay back. God, I would hate to go through my life and miss this principle and miss looking at your grace and looking at what you've done for me. And I would hate for anybody around me to not know what they mean to me. God, I just want that peace from practicing thanks. I just want that peace from appreciating the blessings in my life. And while I got you in this moment with your eyes closed and your heads bowed, I just want to ask you, nobody looking around except me, hey, have you accepted that big thing? Have you had that moment yet where you said, you know what, that's me. I can't pay back this debt of my sin, but I know Jesus can. If that's you, I don't want to put you on the spot. I'm not going to call you out. I just want you to, while nobody else is looking around, I just want you to raise your hand so I can pray for you. If you just want to accept Jesus tonight and get into this, I've been a debtor, but now I'm set free. If that's you, just go ahead and slip your hand up so I can pray for you. Thank you so much. You can put your hand down. Thank you so much. I can put your hand down. Keep it up for just 1 second because I was talking to one person, but I saw multiple. So just keep your hands up for just a second. Wow. That's awesome. Thanks, guys. You guys can all put your hands down. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to lead you through a prayer of just accepting Jesus. There's nothing special about the prayer. It's just an opportunity for you to just silently pray it in your heart and to just accept Jesus and say, God, I thank you for your immeasurable grace. And so let me lead you in this prayer. You can pray it silently. You don't have to pray it out loud. And then we're going to celebrate you for that decision you made. You ready? Jesus, thank you so much for what you did for me. I accept it. It's a debt I could have never paid. I could have never been good enough for you. Thank you that through you I'm accepted. And Jesus, I believe in you, and I'm going to live in the new life. Thank you for your immeasurable grace for me, and I'll live for you as you show me how. Amen.